A bank statement sits on the table. 4 colors of highlighter bleed through the paper. Next to it, a coffee mug. Gone cold. 12 charges circled in red. A gym she hasn't entered in 8 months. A meditation app. She downloaded it during a breakup. A streaming service. Bundled with one she actually uses. Dana would have sworn it. Out loud. To a friend. With total confidence. That she didn't have a spending problem. She checks her balance every week. She's careful. She's just never been careful about the right number. I'm Jack. And here's the thesis. Most people don't lose money by spending too much. They lose it by losing track. By letting their brain sort cash into little informal folders. Folders that never talk to each other. Today we're going to walk through a hypothetical. The same decision. Made by the same person. 10 years apart. Same income. Same habits. Same $130 a month. One choice. Made early instead of late. These numbers are illustrative. Not a forecast of what your numbers would look like. But the mechanics behind them are real. And that's the part worth sitting with. Let's split the timeline. Dana, at 28, sits down on a Sunday. Laptop balanced on a stack of unopened mail. The highlighted statement right next to it. And she does the unglamorous thing. She lists every recurring charge. Cancels what's dead weight. And finds $130 a month. She didn't even know it was leaking. She doesn't feel rich. She feels almost embarrassed. Embarrassed it was that easy. So embarrassed. She doesn't even mention it to anyone. She puts the $130 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Inside a Roth IRA. So the growth isn't getting taxed along the way. And basically, she forgets about it. Dana, at 38. Same person. Different fork. She doesn't do this yet. She's not careless. She checks her balance constantly. Usually on her phone. In line for coffee. A glance, and gone. She just never audits the buckets. The gym. The streaming. That "I'll cancel it later" trial. From 3 Christmases ago. Still sitting there. Still charging her $9 a month. For an app she opened twice. The money isn't gone. It's just never filed under one running total. It sits in 12 invisible folders. Folders her brain built without asking permission. Here's the part that doesn't show up on the statement. Dana, at 38, isn't undisciplined. She's just doing what almost everyone does. With a 15-minute task that has no deadline. She keeps moving it to later. Because later always feels easier than now. That's present bias. Today's 15 minutes feel expensive. A future 15 minutes feel free. So the audit gets pushed. Week after week. For 10 years. Without ever once feeling like a decision. Fast forward 5 years. Dana, at 28, is now 33. She hasn't thought about that $130 in years. It's just background noise. In an account she barely checks. The kind of balance you scroll past. Without reading. Assuming something like a 7% average annual return. A reasonable long-term assumption for a stock index fund. Though markets never actually move in a straight line. That account has grown to roughly $9,300. Dana, at 38 meanwhile, hasn't even reached her fork yet. She's still 3 years out from sitting down with her own highlighted statement, still letting the same 12 buckets quietly run in the background. Now jump to the exact moment. Dana, at 38, finally does her audit. Same kitchen. Different year. The same kind of cold coffee mug. The number she's looking at, the one that feels like a fresh start, is the same number. The other version of her already walked past, a decade ago. By the time Dana, at 38, begins, Dana, at 28, already has roughly $22,500. The identical figure. Dana, at 38, will spend the next 10 years trying to reach, for the very first time. Here's where it finishes. By 48, Dana, from 28, is sitting on roughly $67,000. From that redirected $130 a month, compounding for 20 years, under that same 7% assumption. Dana, from 38, does the exact same audit, finds the exact same leak, invests the exact same amount, and ends up with about $22,500. Same hypothetical person, same discovery, same diligence. The only variable in the experiment was 10 years of not noticing, and the gap between those two outcomes comes out to roughly $45,000. Not from spending more, not from working harder, from one 15-minute task happening at 28 instead of 38. And in real life, the path to either number would have been a lot bumpier than this clean math suggests, with down years mixed in alongside the up ones. That's the invisible ledger effect. Your brain keeping a dozen separate, unaudited accounts instead of one honest total. So the leak feels like nothing, because no single bucket ever overflows. And present bias makes the fix feel postponable forever. And this isn't just a Dana problem. C&R Research surveyed 1,000 consumers in 2022 and found that 74% admit it's easy to forget about recurring monthly charges. And on average, people underestimate what they're actually spending on subscriptions by $133 a month. That's not a rounding error. That's almost exactly Dana's leak, sitting unaudited in the average American household right now. And it's not a discipline failure either. Economist Richard Thaler spent decades documenting this. His 1999 paper, Mental Accounting Matters, lays out how money gets sorted into separate mental folders by source and intended use, instead of one fungible total. $1 in your fun money folder doesn't feel like $1 in your checking account folder, even though your bank doesn't know the difference. The folders are real to your brain. They don't exist anywhere else. And the system isn't neutral here either. Subscription businesses don't profit from you using the product. They profit from you forgetting it exists. Sign up takes one click. Cancellation, by design, often takes a phone call, a retention agent, and 3 screens you have to dig through. The free trial that quietly converts to a paid plan. The cancel button buried 3 menus deep. These aren't bugs. They're tested, optimized choices. That asymmetry isn't a UX accident. It's the business model. You're forgetting is somebody else's recurring revenue line. Now, the honest pushback. Ramit Sethi has built a career arguing against exactly this kind of thing. This micro-audit obsession. the Stop Buying Lattes school of personal finance. His point is fair. If you spend 3 hours hunting down a $9 charge, while ignoring your $400 a month car payment, or your rent, you've optimized the wrong line item. He's right. That small dollar vigilance can become a distraction from the decisions that actually move the needle. Sethi's bigger point still holds. That big wins like negotiating rent or refinancing a loan dwarf subscription savings. This isn't an argument against that. It's an argument for doing both, instead of only the big swings, and never the leak underneath them. Dana's audit wasn't about willpower or guilt. It was a 15-minute, one-time sweep. That surfaced $130 a month. She redirected it once, and then never thought about it again. The leak isn't the enemy. The years it goes unnoticed are. So here's the honest question. Not a test. Just worth asking. When's the last time you actually listed every recurring charge against your real account total, instead of just glancing at the balance? There's no wrong answer. Some people have never had a reason to. But if you genuinely don't know, that's the tell. If you want to close the gap, it's not complicated. Pull up your last 2 bank statements and your credit card statement, side by side. Not your balance, the actual line items. Apps like Rocket Money will do this scan for you in minutes, if you'd rather automate it. Pair that with one place, where every account reports back to a single number, a net worth tracker, even a recurring spreadsheet you update monthly. One note before you redirect anything. Order of operations matters. If you're carrying high-interest debt, credit cards especially, paying that down usually beats investing the difference, since you're effectively locking in a guaranteed return, equal to whatever rate you're paying, which is hard for any index fund to beat reliably. And if you don't have a few months of expenses set aside, that's the first place new dollars should go. Once those are handled, redirect the leak into whatever you're already investing in. Even a basic, low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Ideally, inside a tax-advantaged account, like a 401k or an IRA. And do it more than once. Mental accounting doesn't get cured. New buckets quietly reform the moment you stop checking. And present bias will quietly argue for skipping next year's audit too. Put it on the calendar. Same week every year. Like a financial dental cleaning. Quick disclaimer. Since this is still a finance video, the dollar figures here are hypothetical illustrations, built on an assumed steady rate of return. Real markets don't move in a straight line, and any investment, including index funds, can lose value, especially over shorter stretches. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results, and none of this is personalized financial advice for your specific situation. Now, back to Dana. Picture that statement one more time, except it's Dana's. At 48, and the highlighter isn't marking what she wasted. It's marking what she caught. 10 years before, it would have mattered twice as much. Same kitchen counter, same coffee mug, except this time, the mug's still warm, because she didn't need 3 hours and a moment of dread to do this. She just needed 15 minutes, once a year. That's the whole video. Not spend less. Notice sooner. The leak rarely sinks anyone on its own. It's the years it runs unnoticed that does the damage. If you've never actually run this audit, that's not a confession. Drop your number in the comments once you do, even if it's embarrassing. I read those. And if you know someone who's 3 Christmases deep into a cancel it later trial, send them this video instead of a lecture. If this kind of thing is useful to you, subscribe. This channel is basically one long invisible ledger audit, one video at a time.